Today we're going to show you how we'd check a used car before we're going to buy it or a customer's going to buy it. We offer the service to check a car before someone buys it. So what you'd first do is walk to the car and you'd look down the side, see if you can see any kinks or anything out of line. These gaps on your bumpers, doors and bonnet, what you want to do is measure the distance or look at the distance with your eye on that side. Move to the other side and see if it looks the same. Same on your bonnet here to the other side. It's the same. You've got ones here on your wing, on the doors, and here. Same as on the back end. So you just want to check those distances. Don't know if you can notice on the camera, but there's a slight difference on here compared to the other side. This one just fits a lot more snug. So if you look from there, you want to look at the paintwork. Not too sure if you can see there, but I'll try to get it on the camera. Just above my finger, there's scratches. You can see like damage that was on the bumper, but it's been painted over. So that's a sign it's had some paint. You can see that there's scratches, but the scratches aren't visible. There's no damage to the paint, but there's scratches underneath. So that would suggest that's been painted. And the gap up there obviously has had a slight knock on the back. From that you'd want to have a look underneath the car. And there's a slim panel, support panel that runs along the back of the bumper on most cars. So if you can see that panel, this one, you can see any bends in that or kinks. It suggests it's had quite a hard hit. If there's not, and your boot floor, it's going quite straight. So it's probably just had a parking scuff. Your wheels you want to take into consideration if you're buying one. The price of the car and how much it's going to cost you to get these repaired. I think usually they're about £50 a wheel. And you want to check your brake discs from here. If you can feel a dip from here to here, it's usually a bad time, but you can see these brake discs are quite new. I'd say only a week or so old. Your tyres, these notches are indicators. If your tyres level with that, you tread, then it's illegal. So these ones are okay for now. If you come underneath the car, you want to look at these rubbers. Yeah, so there's no splits in these. You've got ball joint bushes here, no splits on them, and just the general condition. I mean, it's quite a lot of surface rust on this car, but everything seems to be dry and in reasonable condition. So you want to do that on each wheel, on each corner. For the interior, you just want to check seats, handbrake, steering wheel wear, that it matches with the mileage. the only wear it's on this is this section here. It's quite common on girls' cars. Yeah, where they wear a ring on their left finger usually. You're driving, so you get that rubbing. You get a wear line. I've seen that quite a lot. But yeah, other than that, it's in quite good condition. Mileage is 47,000. Now we'd start the engine, listen for any noises, any strange noises in the engine. A great way to find noises that shouldn't be there is by pressing the clutch and releasing it. If you hear a different sound coming from the engine, like rattling or any sort of screeching noises, it's a sign that the clutch is worn out and it's on its way out. So yeah, that's not a good sign. If you do that, you should hear some little noise, but nothing whining, screeching, or rattling. The other thing is to just check all of the settings are working on your heater, electric windows going all the way up and down, mirrors, that they're working, headlights, indicators, all the usual stuff. We would then do a diagnostic test if you've got one of these, but if not, this is what we would do. If you could have the choice to get a mechanic to check it for you, if not, and we would do a diagnostic check before we test drive the car, and then another one after we've test driven it, because some people can wipe out their fault codes before you arrive to look at the car to buy it. So it's a good idea to check it again after you've test driven it, so if any faults are present, they would have came back. It's just a list of faults that's on this car. Voltage supply. I can see what this is already. The rest are going to be voltage related faults. Battery level, immobilizer, lost communication. All of this points to it's had a flat battery, which would make sense. The owner said it's been sitting there for 3 months while she's waiting to sell it. Lost communication again. Yeah, so it's had a flat battery, definitely. So what we do is clear the codes. Take the car on a good test drive for at least 10 minutes. Now the test drive's done, we're going to do another scan. So now it's coming up at 1. Low speed controller communication. That code would need a bit of further checking into. Now the engine's nice and hot after a test drive, you're going to look in around the engine bay, gearbox, any oil leakages, especially from this area, rocker gasket, and the back end of the engine, make sure it's nice and dry. Once the engine's off, you're going to look at the condition of the belt, make sure there's no cracks on it. And of course, check your engine oil with a rag and the coolant levels. Another good tip is if you're opening a coolant cap, you've obviously got to be very careful as you're opening it if it's hot. If you open it very slowly. If you get any coolant coming out or a large burst of air, is usually a problem. As you can see, this one seems to be fine. If there's no issues with the engine, it's usually safe to open this. If there is overheating issues or it's pressurizing, you're going to have a burst of hot water, and if you're not careful, that will burn you. So yeah, you've got to watch that. It's a good idea to put a rag over it if you're going to do it. Yeah, other than that, everything looks good under here. What I have noticed on this is the top suspension mounts are in quite bad condition. So if any work is needed to do on the suspension, this bolt would need to be opened. So it may not be opened because of the state it's in. So you'd need a replacement of this and the whole shock absorber strut. A good idea to avoid this happening on cars is to get some grease, LM2 grease or spray lithium grease, spray it on there every year when you're having your service. It would just stop this happening. Something you're not going to usually have to hand, it's a jack, but if you again getting a mechanic like us out to check it, you find the jacking point on the car, and we would get the car in the air. Now the car is raised, we'd get a axle stand. The axle stand, find the most solid part of the suspension or subframe in this case, which is, turn the torch on, there. We then check the wheels, giving them a pull and a spin just to make sure each wheel is spinning, none of the brakes are binding, and of course undo the handbrake, check your wheels are spinning. Yep. And of course, before you put your handbrake down, put a strut on the other side of the wheel that's on the floor, so there's no play in the suspension. Check your coil springs for cracks, the shock absorber for oil or leaking. If they're leaking, they're going to need to be replaced. Usually at the top end or very bottom end of here, you'd find a crack on a suspension coil, which would need replacing, but these are fine. Wheels are spinning. Drive shafts are fine. What's on here? This one has got a bit of oil on it. It doesn't look like it's been coming from the CV boot because I can't see any splits on it. So it may have been coming from above. And the general rest of the car, you're going to look at, you know, normal dry surface rust on the exhaust like that is pretty standard. But if you've got any bad rust that you can touch and there's bits of it falling off, or you're putting your finger through, then it's a bad sign. Around these areas, your sills, if you've got any soft, spongy parts, it's definitely a no-go. On this tyre, the tread is okay, down the centre. The edge of the tyre here, you can see that line that runs around the edge of the tyre. There's a line that goes all the way around. This is a sign that the tyre's been driven underinflated, which has got not enough air in it, which is causing this wear line on the outer edge. And here, a lot of dangerous cracking, so this tyre will need replacing. It's illegal. I'm hoping that's all we got covered. If there's anything we missed, I don't know, we can cover it in another video, so just be sure to let us know. Thank you very much.